I got to play 4 hours of the new Star Wars Outlaws early before its release next month, so here are my thoughts on the game so far. For full transparency, I am a part of the Ubisoft Creators Program, and a huge thank you to Ubisoft for having me be a part of the gameplay preview. I've been really excited for this game ever since it was announced. I loved the recent gameplay deep dive that we got at the Ubisoft Forward, and I couldn't wait to get my hands on the game. The idea of running around the Star Wars universe as a scoundrel, thieving, and getting into all sorts of trouble just sounds like the perfect game idea. This is the first open world Star Wars games, which brings with it a lot of expectations, so will it live up to those? All of the gameplay footage that you'll see in this video is actually my gameplay from the event. It's not just some pre-made B-roll footage from Ubisoft. So it'll be full of all of my deaths and terrible aiming. My time with the game was split up into 2 different sections, and I'll sort of go over them both. For the first part, I spent the majority of my time on the planet of Tashara, which is a brand new planet made just for this game, and its landscape is based on the African savanna. I was dropped into what seems like the beginning of the game, where Kay crash lands onto Tashara and has a friend there that is going to help her fix up her ship. I was thrown into a little bit of combat, and then I got to get onto my speeder and ride it across the savannah, which felt absolutely awesome. I had a blast riding it across the savannah and crashing it a couple times. Tashara is also absolutely beautiful, and I really thought the graphics just looked so good overall. There were also a bunch of really fun ramps that you could just jump your speeder right over and land in the water. Then I made it to the big city of Miragana. The city felt really immersive and full of life, with so many stormtroopers and NPCs all over the place. There were also quite a few mini games to keep you distracted, with games like Sabacc, Fathier Racing, and arcade games. I did try out one of the arcade games, and it was a little speeder racer game, and it was pretty fun. You could also see if you got one of the high scores at the end. I really loved all the chatter that you could overhear from the NPCs. At one point, there was a character so excited about winning tons of money, and one of the characters was like, "Hey, shut up, we don't want to get robbed." It just really makes you feel like you're a part of the world. Then I strolled on over to the Cantina, and it was full of some very interesting characters. And I was there to get some information on some jobs to possibly make some money. I got a little rundown on all the syndicates in Miragana, like the Pike Syndicate, Crimson Dawn, and the Hutts. And I was tasked to sneak into the Pike Syndicate base. There is quite a lot of sneaking around and stealth combat, which I'm not super great at. In this area in particular, if you were spotted, you would immediately be thrown out and you'd have to restart it again. But I did really like that there was a lot of variety in the ways that you could approach the different situations. Your little buddy Nyx is always there by your side to help you with distractions, or stealing items, or even attacking enemies. There will also be a lot of doors or chests that you have to lockpick to get your way through. And the lockpicking is done by sort of a little rhythm mini game. You'll have to listen and get your timing just right to hit the trigger at the right time. There was also a way to make the rhythm games just a little bit easier by adding like a little pulsing circle, so you'd kind of know when to hit it as well. These were a little challenging to get the hang of at first, but I also think it was a little harder for me because I was playing remotely, so there might have been a little bit of lag. For some missions, you'll also be hacking into computer terminals, and for that, it's sort of like a Wordle minigame. You'll be kind of guessing which symbols to use, and then it will tell you if that symbol is used, but it's in just the wrong spot. These are pretty fun, and they do get a lot more complex as the game goes on as well. I made it back to the Cantina, and I got my first big choice about giving this information to the Crimson Dawn or saving it for the Pike Syndicate. I chose to give the information to the Crimson Dawn, which made my reputation with them go up to good, which ended up helping me in the next mission too. This is also one of the most interesting aspects of the game for me. I'm really curious to see how all the different relationships work with all the different syndicates, and how different actions will affect each one. The push and pull and possible double crossing is going to get really interesting, and I can't wait to see where the story goes with that. After this main mission, I was really left to choose kind of however which path I wanted to go and kind of explore the city some more. It really did start to feel like I was living in this world and this city. At one point, I even went up to a merchant to see what they had to sell. And once I exited the menu, a few stormtroopers came up to hound him about his expired license. And I had the choice to either like leave the situation and not be involved in it at all, or I could help the merchant out and give the stormtroopers some credits to get them off his back. And because I did the nice thing and it helped out the merchant then gave me a discount on some of his goods. So sometimes it does pay to be the good guy. For my next mission, I needed to upgrade my blaster, and I was given a choice to either sneak into the Crimson Dawn base or the Pike base to steal this part. And what really helped me out here was that I already had a good reputation with the Crimson Dawn, so I didn't really have to sneak in as much in their base. So I got to waltz on through for the most part, but then there was one part when you got to like the actual vault where I had to kind of sneak my way in just a little bit. I had to head back to my ship to upgrade my blaster, so I got to hop on my speeder again and drive across Tashara. And there was a bunch of things on the way there that I wish I would have had more time to be able to explore. There were quite a few optional things that popped up, like a pirate raid and also even a speeder race. But I was on a mission and I upgraded my blaster to have this kind of ion burst shot that'll be really effective against droids and shields. In this other smaller town, there was another kind of central hub, diner, cantina that you could go and talk to the bartender and get some more intel on different characters around the planet, too. It does seem like another part of your main mission is to kind of assemble a little bit of a crew with people that are good with explosives or people that are good at fixing up your ship to kind of help you out for the rest of your story, too. Like the bartender gave me a little bit of the whereabouts on someone that could help me rig up my speeder to help me get across the lands a little bit faster. I finally got the ship all fixed up and I actually got to take it into space, which was actually my other favorite part of the whole gameplay. I loved how fluid the transition was from Tashara into space as well. Like there wasn't even a loading screen at all. Flying the ship around was so fun and I even got into a few dogfights. I really liked how easy it was to maneuver the ship around space and to keep a target on enemy ships. You could also fire a secondary, stronger missile after locking onto the ships for long enough. I also loved all of the sounds, and the soundtrack just made the fights even more intense. I also can't wait to see what kind of upgrades you can make for your ship later on in the game. And then, just like the movies, I was sneaking my way onto an Imperial ship. Yet again, I was sneaking my way through enemies and corridors and making my way to some information. This is where I start to fear that things might start to get a little repetitive with the same kind of sneaking gameplay over and over again. I'm definitely more of a run in there and go guns a-blazing type of person than a stealthy person. And each time I would kind of try that option, there would end up being an alarm that was raised, and then I would have to start over again. But I did eventually find just the right combination of things and kind of snuck my way on in there. The environments were still really neat though, like actually being on an Imperial ship and having Nyx there to, of course, cause some chaos on the way was really fun. There's also some really neat parts where you can actually kind of like hook, like kind of like a hook shot up and you can kind of swing your way across different gaps, which is really cool too. There's also quite a bit of loot that you could find and chests to open up with all sorts of goodies all over the ship. I did finally get to have an epic shootout on the way out of the base and shot a bunch of stormtroopers up, which was pretty great. And take off on my ship and fight some TIE fighters too. For the second part of the preview, I got to spend about an hour on the planet of Kijimi, which is the snowy planet that you might recognize from The Rise of Skywalker. And on this planet, I had a bit of a run-in with the Ashiga clan, and the Crimson Dawn were there too. Kay's looking for another member to add to her crew, but it looks like this person just got arrested by the Ashiga clan. So it looks like we'll need to do something to win their favor. And yet again, the Cantina seems to be kind of the central hub of the city and the place to go find your quests. I need to sneak in and grab a relic that the Crimson Dawn has stolen from the Ashiga clan. And this time, my stealthiness didn't actually have to go super well, because then I just started shooting all the people in the base. I got some really great shots with my blaster, and I shot a droid with the cool stun shot as well. The combat was really fun. I even got to throw a grenade down and blow up some enemies too. I stole the relic and I got into an even bigger gunfight where I actually found some other weapons that I could pick up and also shoot at enemies as well. I got this percussive cannon and it really packed a punch. It was definitely doing a lot more damage than my blaster. I also don't know if there's different difficulty settings or anything like that, but the gameplay for the most part felt pretty good. It was a little challenging here and there, a little bit easier here and there. It was a good medium. I really liked that there were a lot of like rock walls that you could kind of like duck behind, and then you could like shoot over, so you're kind of guarding yourself as well. And on the wall as well, there'd be little like med kits or grenades there that you could throw too. I also really liked the level design and that there wasn't any like backtracking. Like once I finished the shootout, I was able to just like leave the base and take the relic on over to the Ashiga clan just like that. So it was really well designed and like thought out. And then I was at the end of my playtime and I just wanted to keep playing. Most of the main story around Kay and Nyx seems to be still somewhat of a mystery, and so I am really excited to learn more about that when the game actually releases. Overall, I'm really excited to play more of Star Wars Outlaws when it releases on August 30th, and to have even more fun in this world. Let me know if you have any questions about the gameplay in the comments, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more gaming news and previews.